了，开心的快疯了。你从不计较负5号的后荒谬，有你在撑腰，幸福的快炸掉。大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要高峰 ，TFBO。最快速的方式，快乐出手就得到，慢慢的安全感，幸福在转角。烦恼不见了，开心的快疯了。你从不计较负5号的后荒谬，有你在撑腰，幸福的快炸掉。大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要高峰 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 ，TFBO。
You're looking live at the Maba Stadium, the home of Malaysian basketball, and we are just moments away from tipping off our first game of our quadruple header right here in the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Our first matchup features the College of St. Benilde Blazers taking on Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. My name is Stan C, along with Coach Mark Dandan. And Coach Mark, this is a team of veterans, professionals taking on the St. Benilde Blazers, who are in the collegiate ranks.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the debut of the College of St. Benilde Blazers against Shaq Alanis, Red Hot Shaq Alanis, and the rest of Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. Now, the key here for Sanzar is being able to keep up with the youth and the quickness of CSB, and we'll see here tonight.
Now we're going to get to know our teams a little bit better, Coach Mark. I'd love to know your insights on how they plan to contain Shaq Alanis after that outburst the other day. But let's send it over to our venue announcer, Ken Pangilinan, for the introductions of the lineups.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stadium for the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Let's meet our participating teams. First, from the College of St. Benilde Blazers. Number 4, Felipe Garcia. Number 5, Chris Carlos. Number 6, Bacoy Marcos. Number 7, Robbie Naide. Number 8, Vince Oxon. Number 9, Joshua Hugo. Number 10, Mark Sacco. Umpire 1, Joe King Lim, and umpire 2, Jim Hall.
Yes. I am Shalkyambao, and here with me is the coach of the CSB Blazers, Coach Charles Chu. The Blazers will be put up against more mature competition. What did you intend to prove in joining this international tournament?
Well, we always think it's a great chance for us to get better, to bond as a team, to play tougher opponents, guys who are more physical, and to toughen us up. So we're grateful to AsiaBasket, to Jai, for allowing us to participate in this tournament.
Well, Will Gozum, who was an integral part of your NCAA finals run last season, won't be playing. How will that change the dynamics of your play?
Well, I think it's a good chance for other guys to step up. I was telling them we don't know if Will come back next year or next season or not. But if not, we have to prepare as if he's not going to come back. And it will just mean that somebody has to step up and fill up the void. So I think this is a good chance for us to test it out and see how we'll look without Will. And hopefully we can perform and other guys will step up.
Well, we can expect everyone will be involved. That is it from Coach Charles. Back to you, Stan and Mark.
Thanks, Shell. Coach Mark, you mentioned Shaq Alanis earlier for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. He had a blistering first half, 30 points. That's a PhilBasket and AsiaBasket record. And if you're Coach Charles Tiu and the Benil Blazers, how do you contain this man?
Guys like Shaq Alanis with the scoring prowess, you can only hope to kind of slow him down and not totally contain him to 0 points. But with him in the lineup, he's going to be definitely the focal point of CSB's defense.
Speaking of CSB, you're looking live at their roster right now. One of the players that you wanted to focus on was Miggy Corteza.
Yes, with Will Gozum not being here in this tournament, the front line relies heavily on Miggy Corteza. He was a starting power forward for CSB when they made the NCAA finals in the Philippines. Now the onus is going to be on Miggy to carry the front line today for CSB.
Miggy Corteza is part of the front line, an undersized forward. It'll be interesting to see how he hangs with the bigs down in the post here in the AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Now let's cross on over to Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. We've talked about Shaq Alanis, but they've also got several other veterans on their roster. Hamadou Laminu, who is technically on the roster, he's their world import, still isn't here, still isn't in the Maba Stadium for this game.
Yeah, I believe he's experiencing some travel issues. So unfortunately, he can't be here for the first 2 games of Sanzar. But they're going to rely heavily on number 1, Shaq Alanis, and also Maya Taladua, who scored 22 points last game.
It was really the 1-2 punch of Alanis and Taladua that made the game close between Sanzar Pharmaceuticals and Shawarma Shack. And if you caught that game last Sunday, it was just a small margin of victory for Shawarma Shack, only 4 points.
Yeah, we saw not only Alanis erupt for 33, we had Taladua and Gikan who scored 15 points. Unfortunately, they scored over 70 points of the team's 82.
And the big question here is, where else will the offense come from? I'm sure that the Benil Blazers have done their homework. They've scouted Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. So it'll be very interesting for the coaching staff of Sanzar to figure out where else they can draw the offense.
They're going to need Jamil McGill to really step up his game. He didn't score last game, only played 5 minutes. So hopefully he can contribute more today for Sanzar to give them a chance against CSB.
There's another look at Miggy Corteza, who is poised to step into a bigger role in the absence of the former NCAA MVP, Will Gozum.
Yeah, not only is it going to be on Miggy Corteza, but they have a bunch of new guys down there in the front line. The name of Paul Turco and Carlos Sumabat. So there's going to be, it's not going to be only one guy. It has to be the rest of the front line for CSB.
And if you're a collegiate team, you're competing on international grounds. That's bound to result in some pre-game jitters, something that Shaq Alanis and the rest of Sanzar Pharmaceutical have hopefully gotten over.
Yeah, definitely. So Shaq Alanis is hopefully he gets a lot more support this game. We'll see if he can replicate what he did in the first game today.
Now let's turn it over to our venue announcer, Ken Pangilinan, for the introduction of the starters.
And now let's see the starting lineups. First, for the CSB Blazers. Point guard number 5, Prince Carlos. Shooting guard number 7, Robbie Knighton. At center number 13, Paul Hugo. Power forward number 12, Ricky Corteza. And small forward number 21, Carlos Sumaba. And now the starting lineup for the Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. Small forward number 12, Maya Taradua. Power forward number 18, Rick Morrillo. At center number 10, Eugene Padilla. Point guard number 14, Louis Nazar. And at shooting guard number 39, Shaq Alanis.
You just saw the members of the starting lineup from both squads. For the Benil Blazers, Prince Carlos and Robbie Naive in the backcourt. In the front court, you've got Carlos Sumabat and Miggy Corteza, and their man in the middle is Paul Turco. Meanwhile, for the Sanzar Pharmaceuticals, same starting lineup as we had the other day. Lanzar and Alanis in the backcourt. Taladua, Murillo, and Madera in the middle. Crew Chief Nelson Chan tipping it off, and we're on. Benil trying to draw first blood here. And if you're looking for highlights of everything that we've got here in the AsiaBasket tournament, you can actually find them on the PhilBasket Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram feeds. So much content for everybody, and it's a great time to be a Hoops fan as Shaq Alanis draws an early foul.
You see Shaq Alanis right there doing what he does best. Trying to get some points. Now, today for CSB, who is going to step up? Replacing Will Gossum's production, it's not very easy. He's the former NCAA MVP. So it will be on Miggy Corteza and the rest of front line. Also, they lost 2 senior guards in JC Cuellar and another senior guard. So it will be on Robbie Naive and Prince Carlos to take care of that for Coach Charles and the rest of the CSB Blazers.
Shaq Alanis no good on that first free throw. Still trying to get that mojo after struggling in the second half of that game against Shawarma Shack.
Yeah, unfortunately, Shaq caught a case of cramps midway through the third quarter that really slowed him down for the rest of the game.
And it really ruined what was supposed to be a very streaky game for him. Nonetheless, 30 points and a half. That PhilBasket record, definitely not an easy feat as Benil scores their first bucket down low.
If you coach Charles, you really like to see Paul Turco, one of the new faces for the front line of CSB, getting involved early in the game.
Shaq Alanis at the controls here. Letting everybody get involved now, but unable really to penetrate. Good floater there from Maya Taladua.
That's a floater from 15 feet out, Stan. It's not an easy shot to take.
Robbie Naive drawing a quick pump fake and drills that three.
Robbie Naive will be counted on. Him, Miguel Oxon, and Prince Carlos will be the guys for their perimeter the next NCAA season.
Sanzar Pharmaceutical hoping to make the most out of their shot clock so far. Good off-ball movement, but Taladua driving inside. This time, no good on that trip.
Just a little too much juice on that floater last time for Maya Taladua.
Nice pass to Turco. Unable to make it, but he's going to go to the free throw line for a couple of freebies.
I like the mobility that Paul Turco is showing. He's running court to court. If you're a coach and if you're your guard, the CSB guards, you're going to love your big guys running the floor, and you have to feed them the ball. And the keys to the game for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals today, Alanis, with his hot hand, he needs to stay hot for them to have a chance today. Rebounding, they were badly out-rebounded last game, 56-45. They gave up 18 offensive rebounds to their opponent. And scoring support. 3 guys scored 70 of the 82 points for Sanzar last game. Who else can step up and help out Alanis, Taladua, and Gikan?
And that's the puzzle that Sanzar has to figure out. as they take on the Blazers, who are up by 3 really early into this one. Alanes driving through the Benil defense. 11 on the shot clock here. The Benil defense really knows what it has to do to contain Sanzar, not allowing them to get in the paint. And that's a forced jumper there for Alanes. Second shot opportunity, still no good for Sanzar.
Coach Charles and Benil, they've probably seen a lot of different offenses in the NCAA, so this is nothing new to them. But they're also definitely practicing their man-on-man defense very tight to start the game.
Alanes no good for 3. Big rebound from Turco Corteza, almost losing it. Fast break opportunity here. Second shot, that one is good from Sumabat.
And Stan, if you see the front line of CSB, these guys are long, mobile, and athletic. Probably going to give Sanzar a lot of problems down low.
Very rangy, especially Sumabat. 6'5", playing the 4. Didn't really do a lot for St. Benilde stats-wise during their run in season 98, but he's hoping that with a year of seasoning, he can improve on that heading into season 99.
Yeah, I had a chat with assistant coach Gabi Severino earlier, and they're putting a lot of emphasis on developing Carlos Sumabat's skills, especially from the outside.
Speaking of the outside, Alanes tried to draw a foul, did get it. Looks like he's going to get 3 shots at the line.
We got to give Shaq Alanes a nickname now. He's manufacturing shots. He's manufacturing points from nowhere. I mean, he's a bona fide bucket.
He's definitely looking to be a creator here for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals as Art Dimas checks in for Rick Maurilio.
I'm hoping to see another explosion from Alanes today, Stan. It was fun to watch.
Somebody should give him the memo. Shaq Alanes still hasn't missed a free throw dating back to the opening game the other day, and he's looking to keep that streak alive.
I hope you don't jinx him, Stan. With Alanes, the key here now is his pacing. He had cramps midway very early in the second half in the third quarter. So it's up to the coaching staff of Sanzar how they're going to pace Shaq Alanes and hopefully not burn him out too early for this game.
Shaq Alanes, a former college star in his own right, also played in the NCAA. He played for Lyceum as that quick bucket comes from Prince Carlos.
Too slow transition-wise for Sanzar getting down on the floor. Prince Carlos recognizing and finishing in transition.
Sanzar going back to Alanes, and that 3 doesn't count. Definitely not something Alanes would have wanted to hear if he was looking to get hot.
Unfortunately, there was a moving screen right there. There's a reason why Alanes got that open.
Eugene Madera getting called for that illegal screen. Miggy Corteza now surveying the defense. Again, taking on this bigger role for St. Benilde as he puts up that shot. Ill-advised given the outstretched arms of the Sanzar defense.
No, Miggy will have to be a lot more patient inside that paint. Sanzar's front line's not that big, so he doesn't need to rush any shots inside the paint right now.
Speaking of size, this is a game where there aren't really any imports. Not a lot of size from both teams since these are both Filipino squads. Nobody really from outside the country who can give that extra boost.
Yeah, but we'll see how skilled these guys are right now. With the lack of ceiling, a lot of teams will have to rely on their quickness and their skills to really get an advantage in this game.
Benilde already employing a full court press really early. What's the strategy behind this one, Coach Mark?
They know that Sanzar has a very thin bench and they're trying to get Kaladu and Alanes tired early to take him out of the game.
So the idea here is to force everyone else to produce for Sanzar, knowing that the offensive production was pretty limited coming from the other game as Alanes almost hits that 3. Madera getting blocked down low.
Turco and Sumabat have to do a better job. They're getting pushed around too much by the veterans of Sanzar down in the paint.
That's going to be a hacking foul.
Right there. Missed block out for Sumabat and Turco. Coach Charles is not going to be happy about that.
Eugene Madera now at the line. In the previous game, didn't really earn himself any opportunities at the stripe.
No, the rare times he gets to the line, he's going to have to take advantage of his free throws. Any point of support for Alanis and Taladua will be big for Sanzar today.
Eugene Madera, I want to tell you a story about this guy from outside the court. He actually went viral a couple of years ago when he pretended to get injured during practice. And apparently it was a ploy between him and his club at the time, the Parañaque Aces. The objective was for him to propose to his then girlfriend.
Oh, was that him?
Yes, that was him.
Okay.
So she got alarmed for a good reason. And he ended up proposing, and it was a happy ending all around for Eugene Madera as Paul Turco hits another bucket inside.
No, it's one thing to surprise your lady with an injury, and another one to propose. As we see a turnover. Good pressure by St. Benilde. They're really trying to really tire out the thin Sanzar guards. They don't have much depth in that position right there.
Robbie Naive getting frisky as well on defense. Things going their way so far as Benilde is up by 5, 12-7. Robbie Naive way off. Good hustle though, coming from the Blazers front line.
As our friend Ben Ibrahim would say, the air conditioning got that one for Robbie Naive. Shooting air ball, his first shot of the day.
If only the air conditioning could get us as well. Closing in on the 5-minute mark here in the first quarter as Sumabat with the steal. He's all alone. Misses the slam. Really unfortunate on that end.
He got too excited. Kid got too excited for that open dunk.
Louis Lanzar trying something down low. Sanzar actually trying to penetrate inside, but Benilde's defense firmly entrenched inside. Baseline jumper there. And now St. Benilde is running. Here's Miggy Corteza going up off the glass and good.
Something that's been lacking the whole game for Sanzar, their transition defense. The bulk of CSB's points right now being scored in the fast break.
We've got a quick timeout. Both teams want to talk things over. We'll be right back here at the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Before we get back to the action, let's send it over to the third member of our broadcast team, Shell Kiambao, who's got an update from the sidelines.
Thank you, Stan. Earlier in the huddle, Coach Jimwell was emphasizing to the team that the key to winning this game is to play hard defense and keeping it tight. But obviously, given the course of the first quarter, CSB is leading as they are putting safety during fast breaks and reversals and putting pressure in the front court. It's a battle of tough defenses, and let's see how will this end. Back to you, Stan and Mark.
Thank you very much, Shell. 4:52 remaining here in the first. And Benilde is really putting the pressure on. Almost a deflection there for the Blazers.
You know, Benilde's Coach Charles and his College of St. Benilde Blazers, the calling card really is their defensive prowess. Coach Charles likes to put a lot of premium on defense in his practice. I watched his practice last night, doing a lot of defensive drills. So he's not going to be happy with those touch fouls they're giving up early in this game.
And Alanis gets called for a 5-second violation there. Sanzar, it appears their heads are not fully in the game here, unable to find an opening.
The defense has really been disruptive, to say the least, for CSB. Sanzar has not been comfortable in the half court.
Sanzar, though, able to secure the rebounds. It's all about executing for them, something that they haven't really been able to sort through here in the opening quarter.
Yeah, they've been running a lot of what we call the motion weak series, where two guys screen for their shooters, namely Alanis or Taladua. But CSB has been doing a great job of reading that offense. So you can see the foul here, touch foul. on Joshua Kahukom. One
Mark
of the new
Sanko
guys.
checking in for the Benilde Blazers. Yes, Joshua Kahukom, going back to him, only 20 years old, one of the new recruits for Coach Charles Tu's squad.
Now he's going to be tasked with filling in big shoes with the loss of team captain JC Couliar from last year.
Shaq Alanes still pristine from the line, already 4 for 4.
Still not jinxed by Stan C.
Make that 5 for 5. 5 for 5 for Shaq Alanes, and for the tournament to date, 11 for 11. Not a bad streak, but of course, if you're Sanzar Pharmaceutical, you're going to want more.
You're going to want more people shooting the basketball. Just
Open
like that.
3, no good for Mark Sanko, but Benilde has a second chance here. Naive taking Gigan one-on-one, getting blocked in the paint.
Good help defense right there from the rest of the Sanzar Pharmaceutical team.
And Eugene Madera, just a look of utter confusion as he gets called for the traveling.
I thought he thought he got fouled right there. He got pushed.
Shot clock 14 seconds.
Shot clock is at 14 here for St. Benilde. They're 5 on the floor. It's Marcos, Naive, Kahukom, Sanko, and Turco.
No, Sanzar really has to get someone else going aside from Shaq Alanis. We see he's still scoring well off the free throw, but as we get deeper into this game, he will need that support from his teammates.
Madera with a great block, just rejecting Marcos's entry. Meanwhile, Shaq Alanis throwing it up once again. And there's another whistle from inside.
Now, Alanis struggling right now from the field, but fortunately, he's been getting to the line very well. And that foul.
Rick Marillo getting called for a foul right there. As we move over to St. Benilde's side of the floor, the College of St. Benilde Blazers, a team with a rich history in college basketball back in the Philippines. They've only won one NCAA championship, which is the league that they primarily compete in. That was in the year 2000. And they actually went through a long playoff drought until quite recently in 2021. So imagine that, a 21-year playoff drought, very much akin to the Sacramento Kings in the NBA as Maya Taladua drills that layup.
Maybe when they win the championship next season, they can light the beam up in St. Benilde.
Speaking of a championship, St. Benilde Blazers, easy basket inside for Kahukom. They actually got very close last December when they made it to the finals of the NCAA against the Letran Knights. It was a tight best-of-3 series as Coach Charles Tu and his squad went toe-to-toe with Coach Bonitan and the Letran Knights.
Yeah, they actually finished the eliminations in first place, Stan, with the best record in the league. Unfortunately, just coming up short in the finals against Letran.
And that's why they are entering the AsiaBasket International Kuala Lumpur with a chip on their shoulder, despite the fact that that finals loss was several months ago. It has to sting at you. It has to be gnawing at you to want to get one up on the competition. Letran Knights nowhere to be found here in AsiaBasket. They're not part of this tournament, but another one of their fellow teams in the NCAA, the San Beda Red Lions, they're actually here.
Yeah, both teams obviously trying to get the advantage of early competition, early international competition. And as Coach Charles Tu said earlier in his interview, trying to get better at every aspect of the game. So that's why they're here now in AsiaBasket.
Meanwhile, Eugene Madera, no good on that first free throw. Currently 1 for 3 on his charities.
No, like I said, every point counts for Sanzar. It can't be just Alanis or Taladua scoring the basketball for them.
St. Benilde trying to surprise Sanzar, those quick hesitation drives inside. And at the very least, it's earning them trips to the free throw line. And when you're up in the first quarter, it at least preserves your energy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And at the same time, with Sanzar being the older, more veteran team, CSB really trying to push the pace and tire Sanzar out early to get the advantage in the fast breaks.
Joshua Kahukom at the line. He's an alumnus of Hope Christian High School, one of the Chinese Filipino high schools in Manila. and generally considered one of the powerhouses of high school basketball in the Tionglian Basketball League from the early to mid 2000s and 2010s.
A lot of star name recruits came from the Hope Christian basketball program, who went on to join notable colleges like Ateneo and University of the Philippines and the UAP and other NCAA teams as well.
Clear frustration from Maya Taladua. Another 5-second violation here for Sanzar. Let's take a look at how they were unable to get the ball in within that 5-second time limit.
Sanzar lacking the press break to counter the man-on-man press by CSB. That's why they've been throwing the ball away in the inbounds.
And now Taladua's gotten himself a warning. He's lucky he avoided a technical.
Referees are kind of kind today, Stan.
I mean, it's pretty early. We've got a quadruple header ahead of us.
Yeah.
I think it'll benefit all of us to extend our tempers and extend our patience.
Definitely. It's going to be a long game day for everyone.
St. Benilde up by 8 here off that Mark Sanko layup. A lot of curling action here for Sanzar. Shaq Alanis still on the floor. Finally drills one off the glass.
With how the game is being played, they're going to need Shaq Alanis to really be involved in every play that they have.
Meanwhile, Joshua Kahukom just answers back. And here's Alanis absorbing the contact, getting his own rebound, and drawing another foul.
Again, transition defense by Sanzar lacking. They've been exploited in the fast break by CSB numerous times, and you've seen the replay. Alanis not giving up on that miss, really grinding out and getting to the line. He's been missing a lot of shots from the outside, but this is his 6th and 7th free throw stand.
Shaq Alanis drawing that foul from Michael Mara. And you can see from the body language a bit disheartened that his efforts resulted in another couple of free throws for Alanis.
If you're Sanzar, you need him to get going. You need Taladua to get going, and your designated shooter, Kokoy Gikan, who we haven't. Have you seen? Is he inside the floor?
We have. He's actually on the floor, but he hasn't scored anything as of yet.
3 guys responsible for a big bunch of their points from the last game. They're going to need every single point from them today.
Blazers trying to run. Marcos passing outside. That's a 3. And that one is good. Migs Okzon making his presence felt already.
Migs Okzon, one of the deadliest shooters in college basketball back in the Philippines, making his presence known.
Meanwhile, Sanzar gives it to Kokoy Gikan. That's his first shot. That's a miss.
Kokoy Gikan took 14 3-point shots last game, Stan. 14.
That's a lot of threes.
His arm must be sore.
Unfortunately, for a tournament like the AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur, no basket on that one, by the way, because of the traveling. There aren't a lot of rest days for a pocket tournament like this. So if your arm is sore from taking and hoisting all of those threes, then you're going to have to recover differently.
Oh, definitely. A lot of sleep and a lot of ice for that sore arm. We've seen the teams here taking their time, strolling around the area, enjoying the sights as well whenever they don't have games. So that in itself is kind of taking a break from basketball.
Speaking of that break from basketball, we'd like to thank our hosts here in Kuala Lumpur for an absolutely wonderful time so far. Really making this neighborhood that we're in a second home away from the Philippines, as Sanzar brings in a couple of reinforcements. Jello Obuyas now running point. St. Benilde trying to confuse Sanzar, and Almaden misses off the elbow.
If you're St. Benilde, that's the shot you want from Sanzar. Somebody else, not named Shaq Alanis, taking the shot.
Almost 9 minutes into the first quarter, and Shaq Alanis still hasn't taken a seat.
It's going to be a long game for Shaq Alanis, especially with how Coach Charles has been rotating defenders on him. Now he has Makoy Marcos, a noted defender as well.
Kokoy Gikan missing that running floater. And now here's Migs Okso, a nice extra pass to Kahukom, left corner 3, short.
Good one more pass from Miguel Okson, but if you're the designated shooter, Stan, you have to take that shot.
46 seconds remaining here. Shaq Alanis, long 3, off.
He's been struggling from the field. 7 points, but all from the free throw line.
Okzon Floppy hair, floppy dribbles, taking a tumble.
Good strong drive from Miguel Oxon, a noted outside shooter, but trying to round out his game now that he's going to be counted more this coming NCAA season. So you can see in that replay, good strong taking the bump.
Migs Oxon, he actually had a big role for the Benilde Blazers in season 98 of the NCAA, averaging almost 12 points per game across their 20-game run. So if he's poised for a bigger role in season 99, he might just be the second in command to someone like Miggy Forteza.
Definitely. And if Will Gosson, as Coach Charles said, they're preparing for him not to come back to play his last season. If he's not coming back, then Miggy Corteza and Miguel Oxon will have to carry the load for CSB.
Oxon no good on that first free throw. He shot 73.5% from the line in NCAA season 98.
No, I like the throwback armband from Miguel Oxon right there.
You don't see that very often in contemporary basketball, especially back home in the Philippines.
Yeah, you see all the sleeves and the bowler bands and whatnot. You rarely see the sweatband on the arm, a la Paul Pierce and Kobe and MJ.
Of course, Michael Jordan. That's who you default to when you see that armband on the forearm as another whistle. And it seems like this first quarter will never end.
Well, both teams racking up the fouls, both in the penalty. And that was a off-the-ball foul, if I do believe. Got caught caging right there. For those at home, caging is when you grab the guy with your two hands before the ball is even inbounded. So that's not allowed. That's not allowed to do. Boys and girls at home, take notes, please. Caging. Do not do that.
That's your word of the day from Coach Mark Dandan. At the line, Yuki Kawamura. He is a Filipino-Japanese player, and I was telling one of the members of our broadcast team, Meng, the other day that Yuki Kawamura actually shares the name as one of the stars of the Japanese national team. So when you Google Yuki Kawamura, chances are you'll find that guy instead of this Filipino-Japanese player.
That's not a bad comparison, Stan. They might think that you're a star national team player. It's all good.
There could be worse things to come out when they Google your name. Just ask Evan Fournier of the NBA. 12-second differential between shot clock and game clock as Oxon absorbs a bit of contact from Gika and doesn't get called. Turnover. Sanzar can have the last possession here, but the Blazers applying the pressure on defense. Kawamura getting trapped. Obuyes takes a shot. In and out. 3 seconds. Benilde has to throw this one up, but Sanzar steals it and time runs out on the first quarter. 9-point deficit for Sanzar Pharmaceutical. The Benilde Blazers are up 26-17. We'll be right back with the second quarter in our first game of today's quadruple header in the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. That's General Gikan, the head coach of the Sanzar Pharmaceuticals squad. And it looks like they have an uphill battle entering the second quarter. They're only down by 9, but the shots just not have been dropping for the Blue Shirts.
Yeah, they're only shooting 15% Stan from the field. And if you're Coach Gikan, that's not a good thing, especially against a talented team like College of St. Benilde.
The Benilde Blazers, who are fresh coming off of a run in the NCAA tournament in the Philippines. They've also been joining several other leagues, other tournaments alongside AsiaBasket. They seem to be more of a well-oiled machine at this point, don't you think?
Yeah, that's the price of familiarity, Stan. That's something Sanzar doesn't have right now as a brand new team that just joined their first competition. And CSB's been together for a couple of years now under the tutelage of Coach Charles Chu.
There's an actual program, an actual system in place as Madera drills his second basket. He's got 4 right now. Meanwhile, Oxon, nice pass to Masa but gets rejected inside.
It's a good screen and roll play right there. Sanzar, no one there to tag the roller, as we would say. Leaving Mara open, an open lane for a layup.
9:29 remaining here in the half. And we've got Michael Mara at the line. And as Mara begins to take his free throws, let's welcome back the third member of our broadcast team, Shel Kiambao.
Thank you, Stan. Assistant Coach Oliver of Sanzar mentioned that CSB's agility and youth are clearly playing to their advantage. Sanzar's more veteran players are getting exhausted by CSB's offense and defense. So in the huddle, Coach Jamal talks about countering their opponent's presses with their own and having more aggressive attacks to these younger players of the Blazers. Back to you, Stan and Mark.
Thanks, Shel. Coach Mark, it really sounds a lot like what you mentioned earlier where Benilde is forcing Sanzar to run.
Yeah, and they want those old legs tired early, Stan. That's why they've been pressing and running a lot. Even on made baskets, if you've seen CSB really push the pace.
Right corner 3, still short for Sanzar, and Benilde is running. Kahukom tried to take it up strong. Nice pass to Mara, still can't finish.
CSB has just been not able to convert on turnovers and the rebounds that they generate.
Corner 3, once again, Sanzar trying to stick to it. Can't convert though. Nice steal though from Obuyes. Draws the whistle.
You like to see the other Sanzar players with the confidence taking shots. Now that Alanes is not on the floor, he played the whole first quarter, scored 10 of the 17 points for Sanzar. Now
5 on the floor now for Sanzar. You've got Madera, Taladua, Kawamura, Obuyes, and Moradas. Taladua really the only scorer for Sanzar.
Yeah, and curious to see Jamil McGill still not in the game right now. I'm looking forward to seeing a better game from him today, Stan. There's a lot of promise coming from his experience in the United States where he played in the NCCAA college division and was a vital cog for his team in their games. He played a good 4 years there. A lot of college experience in the U.S. So we'll see if he translates here.
Hoping to meet Jamil McGill and see him in action once again. Only played a handful of minutes the other night against Shawarma Shack as Obuyes gets trapped at the free throw line. Meanwhile, Moradas can't penetrate. Taladua for 3, way off.
So far, Taladua and Gikan have been shooting blanks early in this game, Stan. Not a good sign for Sanzar.
Not a good sign to hear anyone shooting blanks, regardless of euphemism or actual connotation, as Oxon misses for 3.
Now, Migs Oxon is really trying to stretch out his game, and I talked to the coaching staff of CSB earlier. They're trying to convert Migs Oxon into a point guard, apparently, to make up for the loss of their experience in that position.
How difficult is that to make a transition between 1 guard and 2 guard in between seasons?
You know, especially if you're a guy like Migs Oxon who's really used to getting the ball in the spot that you like and just shooting. You know, distribution and leading the team and setting up the offense is a different animal in itself. It's a very hard transition, especially if you're a scorer.
Marcos just using his body on defense against Taladua, and Mara almost forced another turnover. Shot clock's at 9. Shaq Alanes back on the floor for Sanzar.
It wasn't a good quick breather for Shaq Alanis. That was just less than 2 minutes on the bench.
Alanis missing a three again. Sanzar is frankly fortunate that they're only down by 9 at this point.
They've been making their free throws in this game, Stan, as we see Miguel Oxon with a tough step back. Like I said, Miguel Oxon is a scorer now. The challenge for him is to really become more of a playmaker for his team.
I noticed Oxon tapping his forearm earlier as if to say ice in his veins. But we're not exactly in clutch time territory just yet.
Too early, young man.
And Moradas earning himself another trip to the line here.
There's one thing that Sanzar has been doing really well, it's drawing fouls from their St. Benil players. They got Benil in early foul trouble in the first quarter and trying to do the same here.
Couple of substitutions for both sides. Marasigan and Sumabat are in. Mara and Marcos both take a seat. Art Dimas also checking in for Sanzar.
Looking at the stats, Stan, Sanzar shot 15 free throws in the first quarter compared to CSB's 6. And that is what's keeping him in the game right now.
And drawing fouls, one of the more underrated skills in basketball. But as we've seen in the highest ranks of the game, players like James Harden have made a living out of getting themselves to the free throw line.
Yeah, and obviously that shows how experienced the Sanzar players are drawing fouls from the younger players.
Sumabat with that second shot opportunity. That was a wild shot from Carlos earlier. He was lucky that Sumabat was there to clean it up.
Maybe he was really confident in the rebounding skills of Sumabat.
And Art Dimas crosses the backcourt. That's going to be another turnover for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals.
CSB really denying the passing lane very high up until the half line. They've been generating a lot of turnovers and tip-outs from their defensive.
That's the 7th turnover for Sanzar. And the Blazers not far behind. They've also turned it over 6 times already.
That's what's keeping Sanzar in the game.
And that's going to count for Prince Carlos. He's got an end one opportunity.
Smart ploy from Prince Carlos attacking the leading scorer of Sanzar, trying to get him out of the game via fouls or fatigue.
Jello Obuyas back in. Shaq Alanis is out. Prince Carlos shot 75% from the free throw line during the Benil Blazers run in NCAA season 98. He's entering his senior year in college.
As a senior, Stan, it's not an easy responsibility, especially as a point guard. A lot of responsibility will be on Prince Carlos' shoulders to lead and be the primary point guard for CSB in coming NCAA season.
15-point game now. The Blazers are up. 6:56 remaining here in the half. Gikan, nice pass to Taladua, who drives. Can't get that to go. Second chance opportunity, still can't go in. Taladua one more time.
CSB bigs have been giving up a lot of offensive rebounds, forgetting to block out. It's one thing to rebound, it's another thing to block out, Stan.
Meanwhile, Carlos Sumabat gliding inside off that finish.
You gotta love how lanky and long Carlos Sumabat is, using that length to shoot over his defenders.
That's 6 points for Sumabat. 10 on the shot clock here. Dimas using those elbows. And here's Obuyas. Would have made for a nice highlight. Instead, Benilde is running all alone. And that's another Migs Oxon basket. Coach Jemwell Gikan's seen enough. They're down 17. They're going to talk it over. We'll be right back with more of the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Welcome back to the Maba Stadium. 6:04 remaining here at the half. The Benil Blazers are up by 17 against Sanzar Pharmaceuticals, seemingly taking the pros to school.
You know, it's been tough for Sanzar, especially with their half-court execution, with CSB's full denial defense. It's been tough on their motion-weak offense for Sanzar, getting the ball to their scorers.
Benil going back to that full-court pressure defense.
This time showing a 1-2-1-1 zone press. Dropping back to a man-on-man.
And Sanzar's in a tough spot here offensively because two of their starters, Rick Maurilio and Shaq Alanis, both have 3 fouls already. And since we're playing by FIBA rules, they're essentially 2 fouls away from fouling out as Taladua with a nice step inside.
It's a quick move from Maya Taladua, and is going to need more of that, especially with Shaq Alanis. Now 3 fouls, Stan.
Here's Marasigan from the left wing. Air ball. And it looks like another foul against Sanzar Pharmaceutical in an attempt to box out.
Oh, let me ask you something, Stan. Are you a fan of the short shorts?
You know what? I actually like where jerseys are heading towards now in the new era of basketball because there's a little bit more freedom. So players like Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks prefer his shorts to be a bit longer, probably because he's not as tall as everybody else. But then some of the taller players, if they want to rock the short shorts, I say go do your thing.
Oh, definitely. Looks good on some people, doesn't look as good on others.
And it looks like an unsportsmanlike foul has been called, and our officials are going to be deliberating this. Head coach Jemuel Gikan talking to our crew chief. That's going to go against Maya Taladua.
And you don't want to see that if you're Coach Gikan, another guy of another one of your star players, getting those silly fouls, something they don't really need. Felipe Marasigan, a one-and-done player for College of St. Benil from the Bay Area.
Only 24 years old, Felipe Marasigan, 6'4", plays both the 2 and the 3. Can't get that second free throw to go, but lucky for him, Benil does have possession, so it can still be a 3-4 point swing as a result of that unsportsmanlike foul call.
Now we see Sanzar, the fatigue kind of setting in, slowing down defensively.
Nice drop pass from Oxon, but a turnover here for St. Benil. Sanzar tried to pick up the pace, but once Benil was able to set up its defense immediately, it seemed like their pace was also put on lock.
No, it's not the pace that Sanzar is used to playing. They're being sped up by the defense of St. Benil, something they're not comfortable with, Stan.
Oxon with the terrific deflection there. 11 seconds on the shot clock for Sanzar Pharmaceutical. Those deflections, Coach Mark, they do a lot to disrupt the momentum of the offense.
Definitely, if you're Sanzar, your offense they're going to second guess where they're going to put the ball to. And it doesn't help that the CSB guys are long and lean, getting those tips.
Even Prince Carlos, who's deceptively rangy despite not being as tall as the other players on the court. Gikan thought he had an end one opportunity there. That foul's going to be against Oxon, and Mark Sanko takes his place on the court.
Now, if you're a shooter, Stan, if you're struggling, you really want to get to the line, you see the ball go in the net. Maybe this will get Kokoy Gikan going.
35-year-old Kokoy Gikan made a strong impression in his AsiaBasket debut the other night. He had 15 points. All of his shots were from the outside. You mentioned the 14 three-pointers. Those were the only shots he took in the game.
Obviously, he's the designated shooter for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. It's not easy to shoot 14 threes in the game, Stan.
Hey, Coach Mark, he's got one job.
Yeah, that's true. He's doing his job.
4:48 remaining at the half. Prince Carlos at the controls here. Quick crossovers from Marasigan trying to lose his defenders. And that ball slips through the fingers of Sumabat.
A lot of second guessing right there from Marasigan, he already had an open floater. He decided to drop off at the last second. That's what caused the turnover. His teammate wasn't ready. They all thought he was going to shoot it.
This is only our first game in this quadruple header. And you may not be seeing this on your screens, but to our left here at the broadcast booth, the San Beda Red Lions have just entered the Maba Stadium, getting a look at the competition. Of course, the Benil Blazers, a team they're very familiar with after having competed against them in the NCAA.
Oh, San Beda, in the other bracket for AsiaBasket this year, you might see the CSB Blazers and the San Beda Red Lions in the finals. And if that happens, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Kokoy Gikan doing his job, can't finish though. That was a scary fall.
Fortunately, everybody's okay. You don't want to see injuries early in the tournament. We're just in our second day.
Yeah, the way that Eugene Madera landed there was kind of like a figure four, and that's never good for your hamstrings and your quads.
Unless he reverses it, though.
Unless you flip it, but that's in an entirely different sport, my friend. 13 on the shot clock here for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. It's Taladua, Gikan, Dimas, Obuyas, and Madera on the floor. Time's running out. Taladua for three. Looks like the Blazers had a hand on it. That's going to go out of bounds. And it will stay with Sanzar.
If you notice, Stan, the ball just moving around the three-point line, not really getting inside the paint. CSB doing a great job of making Sanzar just pass the ball around, eating up the shot clock.
And that could very well be a result of the lack of height from Sanzar's end.
And also a lot of length from CSB as we see Gikan starting to heat up.
First three-pointer of the game for Kokoy Gikan. He picks up the steal as well. Gikan on overtime duty. We're doing double duty here.
He's coming off the screens right now. Hit one earlier.
Couldn't hit that rhythm three. Madera down again.
Madera seeing the floor early and often today, Stan. Not a good thing.
And that's going to be a holding foul against Eugene Madera based off what we saw in the replay. That's his third personal. He joins Alanes and Maurilio in foul trouble.
Obviously, Coach Gikan right now having problems with his front line. His two main big guys in foul trouble. His best scorer also in foul trouble. But fortunately, they're only down 11, Stan.
The other thing that's bound to be distressing for Coach Jemuel Gikan is the fact that they're already in the penalty with 3:43 remaining in the half.
And with how aggressive CSB is taking it to the paint. And Sanzar's defense, very handsy. Lots of slapping, a lot of grabbing. That's not going to benefit Sanzar Pharmaceuticals at all.
At the line is 19-year-old Edson Serrano. Hasn't had much experience in the NCAA, actually from the San Beda Red Cubs program, which is the high school program of the San Beda Red Lions. Good defense there for Benil, but Art Dimas just had better offense.
Don't look now, Stan. It's only a 9-point lead. Sanzar is fighting tough, tooth and nail, every possession.
And you have to give it to Sanzar. They seem to be taking a page out of the John Cena playbook, never give up.
It's all hustle and respecting the ability of their opponents.
11-point lead, though, for the Benil Blazers. And if you're Sanzar, you might want to take advantage of this little bit of momentum that you're developing as Taladua drives inside, throws it up, misses everything. And Madera, his wings got caught there.
Yeah, if you're looking at the lineup right now for CSB, it's a lot of inexperience on the floor, a lot of new guys. Coach Charles obviously experimenting and seeing how his players will react in this situation.
And now the starters back in for St. Benilde, Naive, Corteza, and Turco back in.
Obviously, CSB trying to finish the half strong. They were leading by 17, but we're giving up silly fouls and sending Sanzar to the free throw line.
First one's good for Eugene Madera, also an undersized big. Back home in the Philippines, when you're 6'3", 6'4", chances are you might find yourself playing in the paint already. Obviously, if you play in the European leagues or in North America, you can't play big at 6'3".
Oh, definitely. Some of those guys at that height are going to be point guards or shooting guards in Europe.
I mean, when you look at the NBA, for example, the likes of Luka Doncic, who runs point at 6'7", 6'8", it's pretty ridiculous to see the height disparity. Meanwhile, Jello Obuyes hitting that last second shot for Sanzar Pharmaceutical and subtly putting a bit of pressure here for St. Benil. Nice pass from Naive inside.
Sanzar has been out hustling the Blazers, especially for the offensive rebounds and the loose balls. Really trying to tough it out in this first half. You can see the replay right here. Good pass from Robbie Naive down to Felipe Marasigan. Just missing out on an end one.
Yeah, that holding foul was called on Kokoy Gikan.
Some confusion here for the subs for Coach Jimbol Gikan. You know, Stan, the tough thing about being a college team and it's your first time in an international competition, it's really adjusting to international calls. It's really different from how the game is being called back in the Philippines.
How different is it compared to how we do things back home?
Well, here they're a little tighter when they call the fouls. Obviously, we've seen a lot of fouls in this first half. Whereas in the Philippines, they let go of a lot of physicality. Some of the guys think this is okay doing it here, but obviously the refs are calling everything.
Obuyes with another layup inside, found himself open. Meanwhile, Robbie Naive couldn't answer back with a three. Gikan is running. Nice pass back to Obuyes. Jello Obuyes is getting hot. That's 3 straight layups for the young man.
So Obuyes contributing, and this is very big for Sanzar, finding other sources of offense while Shaq Alanis is on the bench and Jeremiah Taladua struggling from the field.
And Sanzar still in the penalty. They keep sending the Benil Blazers to the line. Now it's Miggy Corteza who's at the charity stripe.
They haven't really taken advantage of their free throws. Corteza making the first. CSB has to do a better job of matching the energy or even out-hustling Sanzar right now, because Sanzar is playing like they're the younger team.
That's 2 for 2 for Miggy Corteza. He's got 4. And look at the defense, Coach Mark. The Blazers going back to that full court press again.
They know that Sanzar doesn't have a full-time point guard and not a very good press break right there.
And that results in a turnover. Now Benil's got numbers. Corteza throws it up off the glass.
Corteza finally able to finish in the paint. He's been missing a lot of gimmies there, Stan.
1:26 remaining here in the first half. 10-point game. Obuyes earlier went on a bit of a run. Tried to cut the lead, the deficit down for Sanzar. Kawamura, no good. Marasigan with the defensive rebound. And that's an outlet pass that Gikan wisely deflects.
No, CSB has really been trying the Hail Mary outlet pass. To no effect, actually. I haven't seen them succeed with passes like that, as we see Jamil McGill finally getting into the game.
Jamil McGill, number 30 for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals, checking in, an alumnus of Bethesda University over in the U.S.
We'll see what he can contribute with a minute left. See Miggy Corteza taking advantage of a smaller defender on him in the post.
Corteza got rejected, but if at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
It's a tough move right there for Miggy Corteza, not giving up on the play.
Gikan taking it, can't make it. Corteza with another board.
Not the shot that you want right there if you're trailing by 12, especially if they convert right here.
And Benil was looking for a 2-for-1 opportunity. Corteza sends himself to the line. He's got a chance at putting himself in double digits after these 2 free throws.
And it's funny to see Like every foul is somehow not the player's fault. They've been caught. Sanzar's been caught reaching in a lot of times. They haven't been really moving their feet very well, relying on a lot of grabbing and tapping to at least get loose balls, which are committing silly fouls right now, sending CSB back to the line.
Corteza on a streak of making his free throws. He's taking up human resources management as his undergraduate major. And it's not one of those common courses that college basketball players in the Philippines take. Normally, they take those interdisciplinary courses.
Hey, I took an interdisciplinary course, Stan. Come on now.
Not a shot at anybody. It's just that it's one of the more uncommon paths that I've seen for local basketball players in the collegiate ranks.
But I do believe that CSB is known for their human resources management courses. So it's what you take when you go to that school.
Along with multimedia arts, which is the major of another member of our broadcast team, Kimberly Mas. 30.8 seconds remaining here in the first half as Joshua Kahukom checks back in. Jamil McGill at the line. Interesting story about young Jamil McGill. He was actually in the movie Grown Ups, which stars Adam Sandler and Chris Rock. He played a younger version of Chris Rock in that film.
No, he's gonna have to shoot better right there. Throwing up an air ball. His first shot.
In and out that last jumper from Sanzar Pharmaceuticals, and the scramble ends up with Robbie Naive controlling the ball yet again. 2-second differential here as we make our way towards the end of the first half. Naive directing traffic.
Calling for a 4 down. Isolation.
He's got McGill one-on-one. Naive inside. Nice one for Robbie Naive.
Too much sauce, young man. What a finish by Robbie Naive.
And what a finish for the Benilde Blazers. We're entering the second half with a 16-point difference. The College of St. Benilde Blazers are up 54-38 against Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. We're taking another break at halftime. We'll be right back with more of the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur.
快速的方式，快乐触手就得到，满满的安全感，幸福在转角。烦恼不见了，开心的快疯了，你从不计较，服务好的很荒谬，有你在重要，幸福的快炸掉，大声炫耀，要高峰，去前方，要高峰， 你从不计较，服务好的很荒谬，有你在重要，幸福的快炸掉，大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要高峰 ，TFBO。最快速的方式，快乐出手就得到，满满的安全感，幸福在转角。烦恼不见了，开心的快疯了，你从不计较，服务好的很荒谬，有你在重要，幸福的快炸掉，大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要高峰 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 ，TFBO。
Yes, same, just the same. You are still tuned in here with us in AsiaBasket International Tournament. I'm here with the owner and player of Sanzar Pharmaceutical, Mr. Louis Lenzar. Louis, has your family always been a basketball fan? Tell us about the journey of putting this team together.
Yes, I mean, not only to give exposure to the young guys na may talent mag-basketball, I was also a basketball player when I was in college at Perpetual.
So what does it mean to you to be here with us in AsiaBasket to support your team not only as an owner but also as a player?
Well, of course, I mean, it's a dream come true to play in this international level of basketball game, and of course lack kami ng preparation, but of course that the team and the coaches are trying their best to compete. So hopefully yung aming import din ay makahabol.
We've heard it from Louis that it is a dream come true being here with us in AsiaBasket. Now let me turn you over to the panel, Stan and Mark.
快速的方式，快乐出手就得到，满满的安全感，幸福在转角。烦恼不见了，开心的快疯了，你从不计较，服务好的很荒谬，有你在重要，幸福的快炸掉，大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要 全港幸福在转角。烦恼不见了，开心的快疯了，你从不计较，服务好的很荒谬，有你在重要，幸福的快炸掉，大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要高峰 ，TFBO。最快速的方式，快乐出手就得到，满满的安全感，幸福在转角。烦恼不见了，开心的快疯了，你从不计较，服务好的很荒谬，有你在重要，幸福的快炸掉，大声炫耀，要高峰，去天峰，要高峰 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 ，TFBO。
Welcome back to our coverage of the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur at the half. The College of St. Benil Blazers are up 54-38 against Sanzar Pharmaceuticals.
Yes, we can see Stan, the halftime stats right now, telling the whole story of the game in the first half. Sanzar only shooting 5% from the three-point line, shooting 1 of a 17. Also shooting a total of 25% from the field. It's not a very good number. That's why they're trailing by 16. Rebounds are pretty even. But on the fast break point, CSB is winning that 14-6. Sanzar, on a good note, they got to the line 24 times, but they only converted 15 of their free throws. Also happens to have Shaq Alanis in foul trouble very early in the second quarter. They lost him to 3 fouls. And that's when they really struggled to get to generate some offense. Outside of Shaq Alanis and Maya Taladua has also been struggling, Stan. He's only shot 4 of 12. He does have 8 points right now, but not the start he wanted if you're Coach Jimbo Gikan. On the other hand, CSB Blazers doing a great job from the field, shooting 52%. As I said earlier, they have the advantage in fast break points. They have their main guy, Miggy Corteza, top scoring for them with 10 points. And if you're Coach Charles Chu, that is what you want to see from your senior forward.
Speaking of Sanzar and their struggles earlier, Coach Mark, I want to bring it back to them because I'm looking at the fouls and their starters are in serious foul trouble. Both Madera and Marillo have 4 fouls already heading into the second half. Alanis, you mentioned, had 3.
Yeah, the problem with Sanzar right now is that they're grabbing and holding too much, especially when they're boxing out. A lot of their fouls for their big man, Maurilio and Madera, have been grabbing players who already have the rebound. So they don't have any business being there already. You want it to sprint back, go back down on defense. Instead of trying to slap the ball away from a CSB player.
Speaking of the Blazers now, crossing over to them individually, almost everybody is on the board. All 12 of their active players have had significant playing time, and only Marcos and Serrano have goose eggs at the moment.
Yeah, you know, Coach Charles Chu really trying to see what kind of rotation will work for him going forward. Not just here in the AsiaBasket, but in their future tournaments, especially in the NCAA. It's really experimenting with different lineups to see what will be most effective.
We're just moments away from resuming the second half of action here at the MABA Stadium. As we mentioned, it's a quadruple header on our hands. This is only game one. We've got 3 more. Coming up after this, we've got the San Beda Red Lions matcha team. They're going to be taking on the BGC Builders. That's game number 2. Both Coach Mark Dandan and I will still be here calling the action. And for all of the highlights of PhilBasket, if you love all the content you've been seeing and if you can't get enough of it, please feel free to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at PhilBasket or at AsiaBasket. That's where you can get all of the good stuff on our social media pages.
Are we going to be there, Stan?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to hope so.
Do we have highlights?
We used to have the roster reveal for the announcers
Oh, okay.
sometime last year. But it's not about us, Coach Mark. It's about the players on the floor. Mix Oxon starting the second half here. Nice no-look pass to Corteza. Can't get a lucky bounce.
Cortez has really been struggling finishing in the paint. That's his 4th missed layup. Not going to be happy about that.
Jamil McGill starting the second half here for Sanzar Pharmaceutical as Alanes misses from downtown.
Alanes trying to pick up where he left off in the first half. Immediately shooting, but he's been struggling the whole game.
Corteza making the most out of his block there, but McGill swoops in for the defensive board.
Sands are playing with the controlled tempo to start the third quarter. More of the pace to their liking.
Maya Taladua, he's got Forteza, gets that screen from Dimas, and he gets rejected by Turco.
Excellent help right there by the CSB Blazers, denying Taladua any kind of entry into the paint. You know, with Taladua built like a linebacker, it's not an easy job to take that bump from a guy as strong as he is.
6 seconds on the shot clock here for Sanzar. Gikan left corner 3. Yes! But the basket does not count because of the foul.
Another illegal screen right there from Sanzar.
That's a missed opportunity right there. Shaq Alanes and Kokoy Gikan found themselves an opening, but that illegal screen just put a damper on things.
That's why Kokoy Gikan was open, Stan.
Prince Carlos drops it to Forteza inside.
That should get Miggy Cortez's confidence up, being able to finish in traffic right there. Excellent pass from Prince Carlos.
That's a game-high 12 points for Miggy Corteza.
And again, sorry Stan, to my point, Miggy Corteza is going to be the focal point of the CSB Blazers if they do lose Will Gozum to the pros.
As the shot clock winds down, Taladua can't finish. And now Benilde is running. Corteza from the free throw line, yes.
We see the confidence really going up for Miggy Corteza with would you call that a jump shot, Stan?
I would just call it a floater.
Floating jump shot.
Sanzar Pharmaceuticals trying to claw their way back in with that Kokoy Gikan 3. And they're hoping that builds on things.
Looks good, but unfortunately too slow to get back down on defense.
And Paul Turco wondering why there wasn't a call. He was looking for an end one there.
Turco taking advantage of his height. He's pretty tall. Looks like he's 6'7", 6'8", taking advantage of the smaller guy on him.
Pressure D on Gikan, preventing him from getting that space. And Gikan throws it away to Carlos.
Not the good execution right there. Shaq Alanes never touching the ball on that thrust.
Nice assist from Prince Carlos. That's 3 assists for him. And the Blazers are up by 21. We've got a timeout. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2023 Asia Basket Kuala Lumpur. 7:26 remaining here in the third quarter, and the Benil Blazers have opened up a 21-point lead against Sanzar Pharmaceuticals.
They've been outrunning Sanzar Pharmaceuticals, scoring the fast break very early in the third quarter. Sanzar has to do a better job. Really just running down, doing better, stopping the ball early.
Jello Obuyes checking in now for Coach Jemuel Gikan. So Morilia's in foul trouble. He's actually playing. Missed travel call there, it seems. But Alanes finds himself a left corner three. Can't get it to go. Another scramble, and Obuyes just throws it up. And now the Blazers have found Migs Okzon all alone.
Another transition fast break opportunity for St. Benilde. We only saw one blue shirt run down on defense right there, Stan, and it's not a good look.
14 on the shot clock here for Maya Taladua and the rest of Sanzar. Here's Morillo. Posting up, gets a double team. Taladua from the outside. Yes.
Now you want to see Maya Taladua really get going right now with Shaq Alanes struggling with foul trouble and making shots. Somebody's going to have to step up.
That's 11 for Taladua. Meanwhile, Okzon calling for a pick. Sanko tried to slip past in, but they couldn't connect on that pass.
It's a good ghost screen right there by Mark Sanko on the roll. Fortunately, that pass way too tall, way too high for Mark Sanko to catch from Migs Okzon.
That's a type of ghosting that we're actually okay with.
Yeah, not the other kind.
Jello Obuyes using his speed to penetrate. Can't get it to go either. Here's Okzon. He's got numbers. Carlos on the outside. Corteza extra pass to Sanko. No.
No, Sanzar asking for fouls right there, but I don't believe referees will call anything like that with Obuyes driving against three people with no advantage.
Turco just holding his own against the veteran Maurilio. Meanwhile, Taladua can't even get himself a pump fake. Sanko, good defense.
A length really bothering Sanzar with Sanko and Turco. Some really long guys right there.
Give that assist to Mark Sanko. That bounce pass to Miggy Corteza, who's now got 16.
Another fast break point for CSB, and they're running away in that category right now. Really taking advantage of their speed and their quickness against a slower Sanzar team.
7 on the shot clock here for Sanzar, and that was a turnover. Very careless on Sanzar's end. And you've got to wonder how you can maintain your focus when things are slowly slipping away from your grasp here.
Obviously, Coach Charles has done a lot of adjusting in the locker room. They know what Sanzar's attack is going to be like. So Sanzar will have to figure out how to attack from different angles, not just coming off staggered screens.
Prince Carlos drilling that long ranger, and it's a 25-point game here.
Prince Carlos showing us what he can do offensively, not just the playmaker.
Showing that range here, right? Prince Carlos only a few minutes here in this game, but definitely making an impact as Sanzar finally stops the bleeding of that Maya Taladua reverse.
It's only been Maya Taladua and Kokoy Gikan doing damage for Sanzar. We see a miss from Migs Okzon. Stan, they're going to need a lot more from Shaq Alanes. He hasn't been touching the ball the past few possessions.
Long three there. No good for Kawamura. Good on Sanzar, though, for securing that offensive rebound, and Alanes is going to get 3 shots at the line.
Alanes manufacturing free throws right there. He hasn't made a lot from the field, but this is going to be free throw numbers 8, 9, and 10 for Shaq Alanes. Baiting Migs Corteza into a foul. So that's veteran smarts right there, the experience of Shaq Alanes.
Shaq Alanes still hasn't missed from the free throw line right here in the AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur.
Is that 12 for 12 now?
That's right. Make that 13.
Hopefully we don't jinx the guy on his last free throw.
Shaq Alanes 5'11" point guard. Definitely not playing like one here in AsiaBasket because he's got Jello Buyes running the point for him. And Shaq Alanis, really smooth form, silky smooth at the charity stripe. And that's probably one of the few good things going his way here in this game. That's a big boy move right there from Paul Turco.
Paul Turco looking deceptively strong. He seems very lanky. Don't think he'll be bull strong, but holding his own down in the post.
Turco's only 6'6", 192 pounds, so clearly he needs a lot of weight on him. And when you say the name Turco in the Philippines, you think of a name like Turco Torero. That's a professional wrestler from the late 80s. And that's something that Paul Turco might want to channel if he wants to bulk up. But back to the action here, Sanzar getting an and one opportunity here. Jello Obuyes already in double digits.
What was Turco Torero's favorite move, Stan?
I'm not sure what his finisher was, but Turco Torero was known for being one of the bulkier members of the original Pinoy wrestling scene back in 88 and 89.
I'm sure he can take a few pointers, Paul Turco, from Turco Torero.
Obuyes can't complete the three-point play opportunity. Scramble for the loose ball there.
I think it's getting sloppy here, Stan. And the trap that CSB has to avoid is getting as sloppy as Sanzar right now and throwing the ball away numerous times. We're going to have to stay sharp, especially this being their first game. You know, they're going to have to get used to international competition, international referees. So it's not just about playing the game from minute 1 to minute 40. Also taking in that experience and trying to stay sharp, especially in this kind of tournament where we have multiple games in straight days.
I'm glad you mentioned the international flavor, Coach Mark, because this is obviously a game between two Filipino teams, but the officials are Malaysian. The audience right now is actually more Malay than Filipino for obvious reasons, as Yuki Kawamura drills that three. But when you talk about the sport of basketball here in Malaysia, you might notice that a majority of the players and of the fans are actually of Chinese descent, and not a lot of Malays, not a lot of Indians here in Malaysia are really into the sport of basketball, unlike the Chinese.
And as our friend Ben Ibrahim said in our first game together, basketball is really #1 for the Chinese nationals here in Malaysia. And it's a sport that's slowly gaining traction compared to as football or badminton here in Malaysia. Getting more exposure slowly but surely, especially at the youth level. So it's looking very promising for Malaysia.
A lot of it also has to do with the school system here in Malaysia, because the Chinese schools, as Michael Mara hits that shot off the glass, a lot of the Chinese schools here in Malaysia actually prioritize basketball as a sport of choice. So that probably explains why the ethnic Chinese here in Malaysia gravitate towards the sport more than the Malays and the Indians.
That's always a good thing if you're trying to develop from the grassroots level, introducing kids at an early age to basketball.
Eugene Madera earning himself a three-point play opportunity. And since you mentioned the development, we are at the Maba Stadium. This is also where the dormitories of the national teams are located. So on the way to the arena, we see the younger generations of the Malaysian teams. You know, they seem to be having a good time just living near and being around the sport. If you're a hoops fan, this is basically the dream living situation where you go to school and your court is within a stone's throw away from where you're at.
If I was still a player, Stan, I'd love living here. Wake up, go to the gym, go to the court, go back. It's a dream setup if you're a basketball player.
And both the men's and women's teams are actually located nearby. Whistle drawn there in favor of Yuki Kawamura, drawing that foul. This area where the Maba Stadium's at is where both the men's and women's teams do live and train. I actually got to see the women's team pull up here just the other night right after our opening games.
Yeah, I saw them too, coming off international competition as well. That's pretty cool.
Very, very busy time for the Malaysian basketball scene. Although it's not as developed as, say, the Philippine basketball scene, you can tell that the Malaysian basketball authorities are really doing what they can to grow the sport and get it more exposure, get more experience against the veteran teams around the region before they can climb up the ranks over in FIBA.
You know, and as a basketball coach, Dan, we love to see the growth of the sport, not just locally, but regionally.
2:18 remaining here in the third quarter. Sanzar Pharmaceuticals only down by 17 now. Still an uphill climb, especially after that Alanis miss.
Alanis really struggling and forgetting to play some defense right there, playing some James Harden-esque defense.
Michael Mara, another bucket down low. He's got 6.
No, Alanis must be really frustrated right now. He's missing a ton of shots. Not really replicating what he did in the first game where he scored 30 points in the first half.
Kawamura couldn't connect there, and now Kahukom couldn't find himself an opening. Benilde operating off of the left side, can't finish.
The referee is really letting the guys play out right now.
And that's not going to count for Maya Taladua. Kind of got caught pushing there.
Maya Taladua getting caught right there, pushing off with his left arm. Robbie Naive. Kids at home, this is how you take a charge. Hold your ground, cut it, put it on Instagram. Kids need to see that.
And as Robbie Naive and the rest of the Benilde Blazers get ready on offense, let's welcome back the third member of our broadcast team, Shell Kiambao, who's got an update from the Benilde Blazers bench. Shell?
Hey, Stan and Mark. Sanzar is wound up at seemingly an impasse, but according to assistant coach Oliver, they are holding on tight to their man-to-man full-court defense. The question is, will this be enough to fight against the Blazers' consistently strong defense to close this one out? Back to you, Stan and Mark.
Thanks, Shell. Coach Charles Stew really has gained a lot of information on Sanzar and the way that they're playing, especially since he had the advantage of only getting to play today instead of, unlike Sanzar, who already had to play on opening night.
Yeah, Coach Charles, really one of the more renowned basketball minds in the Philippines, putting his knowledge here to test against Sanzar.
Kahukom from the outside. I thought you wanted a 4-point play call there.
Referees has been really lenient in this third quarter, not calling any ticky-tack fouls.
Less than a minute remaining here in the third quarter. 8 seconds to shoot here for Sanzar. Dimas setting that pick. That's another 3 for Kawamura, who can't make it. Kawamura offensive rebound off the elbow. No.
Kawamura really looking for a shot right now, but unfortunately, it's not been dropping for him today.
Robbie Naive thought he could deliver there, but now he has to run back on defense. 4-second differential between shot clock and game clock. And Jello Obuyas earns himself another trip to the line.
Obuyas has been impressive, especially on transition, showing that he can finish over traffic. It's very shifty. Reminds me of a smaller Manu with that sidestep. Trying to get 2 from the line.
Jello Obuyas, he has a slight frame. He's 5'11", only 154 pounds. Pretty young as well. Only 22 years old.
Guys like Jello Obuyas, you know, he's not a household name back in the Philippines, but that's why we're very thankful for AsiaBasket to give guys like Jello Obuyas an avenue to showcase their skills and hopefully draw some interest in teams in the Philippines.
And with a tournament like this, AsiaBasket, it's really for both collegiate players and professional players to get that seasoning, especially in a venue like this, as Michael Mara hits that bucket. 7 seconds remaining here for Sanzar. What have they got up their sleeve? Kawamura going one-on-one, step back, can't hit anything, and at the end of the third, the College of St. Benilde Blazers are up by 23, 81-58. We'll be right back with the final frame right here at the Mapa Stadium. We're moments away from the fourth quarter of this opening contest in today's quadruple header. This is the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. And the Benil Blazers could be 10 minutes away from running away with this one. They're up 23 against a veteran Sanzar Pharmaceuticals squad.
And for Sanzar to have a chance in the fourth quarter, we need to see another explosion from Shaq Alanes and Maya Taladua. Better execution as well in the half court for Sanzar.
Moradas back on the floor. He's going to inbound his targets. He's got Gikan, Kawamura, Obuyes, and Dimas. Robbie Naive, good stance on defense. 14 on the shot clock. Elbow jumper, no good for Moradas. Gikan, left wing three, no. Third chance opportunity, still no good for Sanzar.
Missed blockouts right there for CSB, but fortunately for Sanzar, not able to convert on those multiple opportunities.
I've been really impressed with the ball handling from Naive, particularly how he threads the needle with his passing. Even though they couldn't come up with any baskets on that end, just the sheer difficulty of those passes is pretty stunning to watch.
You have to be really confident in yourself to throw passes like that, Stan. The moment you make a mistake with a pass like that, your coach is going to be furious.
Naive, that three-pointer is short. About a minute into the fourth quarter, and neither team has scored anything. And now Ardimas proving me wrong immediately.
Sanzar is still going hard, playing hard, trying to score points early and often. Taking advantage of a bad closeout right there by Robbie Naive.
There's still a lot of time remaining, but clearly time isn't on Sanzar's side, especially with a 21-point deficit staring them right in the face.
In Sanzar, it's not really their strength to push the ball in the fast break. As we see the replay here, a bad foul right here by Jello Buyes or Kokoy Gikan reaching in.
14 on the shot clock here for the St. Benil Blazers. Sumaba trying to cut down low, and that ball goes out of bounds straight into the arms of Sanzar Pharmaceuticals.
If you're Coach Charles Chu in CSB, you don't want to get sloppy right here, start the fourth quarter, and give Sanzar some kind of momentum to manufacture a comeback.
Benil going back to covering all 94 feet, and Gikan and Kahukom, their elbows finding each other's bodies here.
No elbow pads needed right there for that matchup.
Moradas trying to slip, going to his left. Still can't hit anything, and Sanzar relying too much on those long-range shots, which just aren't falling.
That's been their strength from their last game. They shot 44 three-pointers in their first game against Shawarma Shack, if I do believe. You see the replay right here. Kokoy Gikan giving up the duty foul, preventing an open shot.
18 on the shot clock here for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. That's Marcos inbounding. He's got Mara, Naive, Sumabat. And that's going to be another whistle.
That's been the theme this whole game. Sanzar fouling too much, Stan. They're holding too much. They're bumping too much. It's really thrown them off their game, and it's been a big distraction for them.
17 on the shot clock here. Mara trying to muscle his way inside. Kahukom trying to break free. Mara with a nice pick. And Kahukom throws it up, gets the lucky bounce.
It's a half Pinoy step right there from Josh Kahukom. Almost lost his balance, but able to finish.
Big margin here for Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. Angelo Obuyes trying to run point now.
We see Maya Taladua in the game, but we're still missing Shaq Alanins.
Kawamura, no good. Art Dimas cleaning it up, and that three still no good for Taladua.
Missed foul right there.
Gikan and Mara just colliding into one another, and that's why Mara wasn't able to get that outlet pass.
CSB asking for a foul. The referee is having none of it.
Edson Serrano and Felipe Marasigan checking back in. They're replacing Sumabat and Marcos.
You want to know a fact of life, Stan? You will never win against the referees, no matter how much you ask for a foul.
I think that's something that you learn early on, regardless of the level of play you're in, whether you're in the amateurs, whether you find yourself in the collegiate ranks, in the pros, right? Even if you're just playing pickup ball with your friends, if there's a referee, chances are you're never going to win an argument against them.
It's a useless argument right there.
Kahukom, no good for 3. Maya Taladua, though, it seems like his motor hasn't really taken much of a hit.
Now, Stan, guys asking for fouls, when they're attacking 1-on-3, referees typically won't give you that foul because the offensive player is always at a disadvantage in that situation.
Serrano thought he had an opening, but now Kahukom takes it, can't make it. And Gikan gets called for a pushing foul.
It's getting chippy down there, Stan, especially in the paint. A lot of elbows flying around, a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving. The referee is trying to keep control of this game.
And Kokoy Gikan's 1 foul away from fouling out. And that's why Coach Jemuel Gikan brings Almaden in. .12 on the shot clock for Benilde. And if you notice the lineup here, Coach Mark, Cortez is no longer playing.
Yeah, Coach Charles trying to give his new guys some experience, give them floor time, because they're going to need their new guys really to step up, especially here in AsiaBasket.
But if you're playing in a league like the NCAA, one of the top 2 collegiate leagues in the Philippines, does the playing time abroad or in a pocket tournament like this, does that actually have a tangible effect when you get back to your home league?
Oh, definitely. You know, number one, it's a confidence thing, especially for the new guys. When you feel like you've earned the coach's trust, you feel a little more confident on the floor. Better, you can do better decisions, you can execute better. So it really translates for players on the floor.
Edson Serrano getting called for his 2nd personal foul, as we see here on the replay.
Shakalanes again manufacturing free throws. So this free throws 11 and 12, I believe, Stan.
I mean, you have to respect the fact that Shaq Alanis has been getting himself to the line. It's actually free throws 13 and 14. He's no longer spotless from the charity stripe.
First miss of the tournament for Shaq Alanis.
Actually, 2nd.
Oh, 2nd miss.
So he's now 12 for 14 right here.
But you love to see how smart Shaq Alanis is. He knows his shot's not falling, but still manages to get to the line a lot of times.
3-on-3 fast break opportunity for Alanis, who drills that floater.
Excellent. Excellent floater move right there for Shaq Alanis. Almost throwing an end one as well.
That's 16 for him. Trying to bring up his scoring average at the very least, despite the 20-point deficit. Michael Mara getting double teamed inside, and he's going to go to the line.
Mara, bull strong down in the paint. He's been really aggressive, and he doesn't mind the physicality. Right there, getting smacked in the face by the Sanzar helpers. Not a good feeling getting fouled like that.
Michael Mara, 6'5", plays both big man positions. He's not a homegrown talent for the College of St. Benilde. Actually hails from the San Beda Taytay program, not to be confused with the San Beda Red Cubs program in the central part of Metro Manila.
You know, CSB has done a great job over the past few years, especially Coach Charles, in recruiting quality players who don't really hear much about but become great contributors for CSB.
And Michael Mara did play throughout the entire season for Coach Charles Stew in season 98, the previous season of the NCAA. Didn't really put up those eye-popping numbers, but the contributions probably felt in the intangibles as Shaq Alanis hits that lefty jumper.
Shaq Alanis trying to get himself going right now, hitting his last 2 shots, something you want to see.
Robbie Naive missing off the elbow, but could it be too little too late, Coach Mark?
Probably with 5.5 minutes to go. Sanzar not happy with that offensive foul by Maya Taladua.
And the bench here, just being very vocal with how unhappy they are with the call from the crew chief.
Oh, but Maya Taladua, he extended his left arm, warding off the defender right there. The refs have been very consistent calling off that warding off offensive foul.
14 seconds.
14 on the shot clock here for Benilde.
Sanzar doing too much complaining, really distracting them from the task at hand.
Meanwhile, Prince Carlos throws it up, gets that to go. He's in double digits.
I love what I'm seeing from Prince Carlos and Joshua Kahukom earlier, really leading the charge for the perimeter of CSB.
Yeah, the young guards from CSB making a very good first impression right here in AsiaBasket.
It's going to be a tough schedule for them. They're going up against veteran teams in their division. If this is a good test for them early on, and they're passing with flying colors.
Dimas to Naive from the left corner. Naive pretty cold right now.
Naive has been settling for a lot of outside shots, but been setting up his teammates as well very well.
Taladua can't get to go from the left corner. 4:34 remaining here in regulation, and I think at this point, if you're the College of St. Benilde Blazers, you really just want to get that extra run time for everyone down the bench.
Oh, definitely, you want to get, especially the deep bench guys, the ones with the fresher legs, some minutes, because it's going to be a long tournament, Stan. And games like this, back-to-back days, it's never fun, especially if you're a guy who has a lot of minutes.
And just to keep you up to speed, in case you're not familiar with the schedule here in the AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur, over the next 4 days, we'll be playing games back-to-back. Those are 4 straight days of quadruple headers up and down. So it's going to be tough on the body, regardless if you're a younger player or a more experienced veteran.
Yeah, definitely. Recovery is a must for all the teams who have joined AsiaBasket. If you're playing back-to-back games, you're going to need all the rest you can get. And that's why guys on the bench need to do their stuff to give the main guys of every team some breathing room.
No good on that first free throw for Edson Serrano. And if you're Sanzar, you've got this huge deficit, right? And not much time. Time is not your friend. How do you maintain that composure and not let everything get the best of you?
You know, with 4 minutes, you're looking at probably the next few games. You're trying to develop some good habits if you're Sanzar. Trying to get confidence from others like Jello Obuyes. You need to contribute in the future games.
Lucky shot off the glass there for Jello Obuyes, who's got 12. Meanwhile, Prince Carlos just answered back. He's got 13.
No, Prince Carlos has really impressed me. Seeing him here in the first game, he's done a lot of good stuff defensively, also contributing on the offensive end.
And it looks like Shaq Alanes is pretty comfortable just letting Obuyes and Taladua produce at this point, because he seems to have come to terms with the fact that his shot just wasn't falling today.
No, he knows there's more battles to be fought in the coming days here in AsiaBasket, and he's going to need to reload those guns if Sanzar wants to win the next few games.
This will be the second game for Sanzar, and if Benilde maintains this lead, which basing on the time it looks like that might be the case, then they're going to drop to 1-1, and there are only 4 games in the elimination phase.
That's a must-win. The next 2 games are going to be a must-win for Sanzar. That's why they're going to need Alanes sharper in the next couple games, because production like this, it's not going to cut it for, especially if they're missing their world import.
Makoy Marcos getting called for that foul. Gican's back on the floor. Almaden takes a seat. And the reason I mentioned that there are only 4 games in the elimination phase is because each team will be going on a single round-robin format against all of the members of their respective groups. And then towards the weekend, it'll be the top 2 teams of each group facing off against each other in our playoff round. So it'll be the number 1 team from Group A taking on the number 2 team of Group B, and then vice versa, the number 2 team of Group A taking on the number 1 team of Group B. That's a semifinal round leading into the finals, which will be taking place next week, April 18.
It's going to be a long, short tournament for everyone here, Stan. It's going to be long game days. This might not be a very long tournament, but stress and the physicality of the games will really wear down on a lot of players.
Sumabat found himself some breathing room, and Taladua secured the rebound.
Now going back to Sanzar, Stan, you love to see guys like Jalo Obuyes getting their confidence, and it's going to be big, especially if they want to win their last 2 games. Guys who can help Maya Taladua and Shaq Alanis scoring-wise. It's going to be better for them.
Jello Buyes, very interesting career arc for him. This is probably the biggest stage he's competed at. He most recently played in the Pilipinas Super League, one of the semi-pro leagues back in the Philippines, for a club called Bagong Kabuyao Home Lab Nation.
That's a long name for a team, Stan.
Oh, believe me, there have been longer names for basketball clubs back home.
Give me an example.
One of the teams that competed in the inaugural PhilBasket tournament back in 2021 was, I hope I'm not messing this up, Batangas, Laia, M-Trans. I'm probably mismatching the order here already. It's a mighty long name. I'm gonna have to Google that. Give me a moment here.
This will be Marcos making his free throws. Now with 2 minutes left, you want to build on good habits. If you're Sanzar and if you're CSB, you want to finish this game right. Right meaning not being sloppy, still executing until the last second. And Coach Charles True's definitely going to be looking for that with this last 5 guys here on the floor.
Less than 2 minutes remaining here in our contest. The name is M-Trans Boracay de la Ia Batangas City Tanduay Athletics. That was the team.
That's got to be some kind of record, Stan. That's a long name for a basketball team.
And that's going to be the final foul for Makoy Marcos. He's going to be fouling out. He's going to take a bow. Coach Charles Stu really emptying his bench now, and Coach Jemuel Gikan wants to talk it out. We'll be right back with the final 141 of this game. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur. Last minute and 41 remaining in this opening matchup for today's quadruple header between the College of St. Benilde Blazers and Sanzar Pharmaceuticals. This game clearly not going the way that Coach Jemuel Gikan thought it would when he woke up this morning, as his brother Kokoy Gikan drills that three from the right corner.
Yeah, he never thought Shaq Alanis would only produce most of his points from the free throw line, and see Maya Taladua struggle from the field as well.
Benilde just trying to play keep away basketball at this point as Kahukom pushes up his point total to 14. That's 4 Blazers in double digits, with a couple others with 9.
Now, I've been really impressed with the play of Prince Carlos and Joshua Kahukom for CSB. As we see Obuyes again with another finish. Hopefully we see more of this kind of game from Jello Obuyes in the last 2 games.
I was about to say that. I was about to piggyback on what you said about these young players like Prince Carlos making an impression. Jello Obuyas with a statement game right here. Didn't really feel his presence in the first game against Shawarma Shack, but he's here to remind everyone that he could present himself as a scoring option if need be.
Yeah, no, with the shiftiness that he possesses, Jello Obuyas can be another threat on the perimeter for Sanzar, and that eases the load of Maya Taladua and Shaq Alanes, who've been really the focal point of defenses in the past 2 games.
7 seconds remaining here on the shot clock, and the Blazers can't convert there. Barely a second separating the shot clock and game clock. And this could very well be the final score of that Maya Taladua 3. And the Benil Blazers not really incentivized to add to their point total here because the quotient system is not in play here in a tournament like this. So as long as you're up when the buzzer sounds, then that's all that matters. And for the Benil Blazers, they get the W 93-80 against Sanzar Pharmaceuticals.
Excellent game right here from CSB, leading the game from end to end, displaying the defense that Coach Charles wants to see moving forward, especially when they get to the NCAA.
We're about to get to know our best player of the game in just a few moments, but you have to be impressed with the all-around performance of this entire Blazers roster because 11 out of 12 players put points on the board. That says a lot.
Yeah, definitely shows the depth and the experience of CSB, despite not having their main guy in Will Gozum. You have guys like Miggy Corteza and Joshua Kahukom, as well as Prince Carlos, really step up and shoulder the load for CSB. And if this is how they're going to play for AsiaBasket, then a lot of teams are going to be in trouble.
Up next in a bit, you've got the San Beda Red Lions matcha team going up against another Filipino team. It's the BGC Builders that they're going up against, and both teams have had a great time scouting the competition, trying to see if they can get some intel heading into their respective matchups later down the road in the tournament. But for now, let's send it over to Shell Kiambao, who's standing with our best player of the game.
Thanks, Stan and Mark. I am here with, from the CSB Blazers, number 12, Miguel Corteza. Miggy, you made scoring look very easy, but what was the biggest challenge entering this level of play versus your usual collegiate games?
We're just here to compete and grow our bond as one team. So I think the most important thing that we're trying to get here in this Malaysia trip is to have that solid teamwork throughout the tournament.
How do you think this AsiaBasket tournament will help you get ready for the next season of the NCAA?
I think this will be a very good test for us in preparation for the NCAA season because I think this would help us get used to the physicality with other teams and imports playing here in the AsiaBasket.
Thank you so much, Miggy. Congratulations and good luck to your next games. Back to you, Stan and Mark.
Thank you very much, Shell. Once again, the final score of this one, 93-80. College of St. Benil Blazers pick up their first W of the tournament. Up next, the San Beda Red Lions match team takes on the BGC Builders. Stay with us. This is the 2023 AsiaBasket Kuala Lumpur.